Good evening, everyone. Can I please have a motion and a second to reconvene the public meeting?
A motion.
All in favor?
Aye.
Aye. Motion carries. Can I please have everyone stand for the Pledge of Allegiance, followed by a moment of silence to honor our servicemen and women? I pledge
allegiance to the flag of the United States of America and to the republic for which it stands, one nation, under God, indivisible, with liberty and justice for all.
Thank you. Can the district clerk please call the roll?
Mr. Pisano? Ms. Torregrossa?
Present.
Ms. DiLorenzo?
Present.
Ms. Napolitano-Furno?
Present.
Ms. Mallon?
Present.
Dr. Centimore?
Present.
Ms. Iannatelli?
Present.
Mr. Kolahifar?
Namaste.
Ms. Poppy?
Present.
Mr. Hauser?
Present.
Thank you. Before we continue with tonight's agenda, the board would like to address a concern that was brought to our attention regarding an assignment provided to a 9th grade global history class at Connecticut High School that contained inaccurate information and a misrepresentation of Islam, in particular pertaining to Sharia law. We take this matter very seriously, as it is our goal to always provide accurate, respectful, and thoughtful instruction to our students. Upon review, the district has identified the inaccuracies in the assignment and provided an accurate representation of the subject matter to our students. Furthermore, the assignment has been removed from our classroom effective immediately. Please be assured that we are committed to ensuring that all instructional materials align with the highest standards of accuracy and remain culturally sensitive. Can I please have a motion and a second to accept the minutes of the January 28, 2025, the February 11, and the February 25th meetings? Motion.
Second.
All in favor?
Aye.
Aye. I will now pass the floor to Mr. Hauser, who will do a budget presentation.
Thank you. Okay, great. There we go. Our apologies for the delay. So this is going to be the first, I'll call it a rollout of the proposed 2025-26 budget, where you'll have an opportunity to see the revenues that the district is anticipating, as well as the expenditures, the proposed expenditures. So once again, as we've done with each presentation, we put the calendar up there so you can see where we are at right now, which I highlighted in yellow. Okay, and then the goal at the very bottom will be the May 20th, the actual vote. If we just back up a little earlier, it is actually April 22nd that the board will adopt the proposed budget, and then about a month later, May 20th, the public will vote. Okay, this is a slide, a snapshot really off the New York State Comptroller's website. It details how the district actually calculates the tax cap based on the Comptroller's formula. I don't want to get too involved because there's a lot of fancy numbers here that go back to last year or the current school year in order to move us forward to where we come up with the proposed tax rate for the following year. But once again, we'll have this presentation posted on the district's website with all the backup for everyone to see. Dr. Sedamore, did you want to add anything about the tax cap at all?
Yes, and I know on the next slide you'll have it kind of circled in red. You know, each year, each district, based on formula, will come out with their tax levy increase. When the tax cap was first being rolled out, I guess it's 13 years, whatever it is now. It was given a nickname that's a little bit of a misperception. It was given the nickname the 2% cap. And really that 2% reference was really one component based on kind of the CPI component within the formula. Because in any given year, any school district in New York State could have a tax levy cap that could be above 2% or below 2%. And for this year, based on formula, our tax levy increase is actually coming in below, and actually significantly below 2%, which is great for our taxpayers, which we're very mindful of as an administration, certainly our board. But it does, present a little bit of a revenue challenge, especially as we continue to advocate. And again, appreciate everyone's effort, all of our local associations, the board. Certainly our locally elected officials with the state senate and the state assembly, because right now the governor's initial aid proposal is a little bit light, in terms of, if I can quote, about a 2% increase, which is roughly 700, little over 700,000. And so we're continuing that advocacy effort. When you combine these major revenue sources, which for a school district is basically going to be tax revenue, and it's going to be, for the most part, state aid. And the big component of state aid that we really tend to focus on is what's called foundation aid, because it's one of those aid categories that is not based on getting reimbursed for money that you spent. And we appreciate that. We rely upon that. We're getting a little bit of an uptick in terms of that type of aid, which is good, but that will certainly fluctuate from year to year based on what was eligible for aid and spent the previous year. What school districts look to rely upon is that consistent foundation aid and growth in that aid from year to year that'll be pretty close to par with inflation. Now, all of us have been living inflation over the last several years. There was about a 3-year stretch up until last year, I believe it was, that inflation was 4 to 8%. And obviously, the state aid last year for ConnectWalk, we got a 0 increase in foundation aid, the foundation aid component. So you're looking at a 0 last year from the state. Right now, the current governor proposal of 2%. That's not a lot of aid revenue over that period of time. So these, but from a tax standpoint, a resident standpoint, this year's number is sub 2%.
Thank you. Okay, and here we've presented this slide several times so far. We update it as we gather more information. For the most part, up at the top of this slide, details, I'd say about the 2/3 of this page details the revenues, the money that we anticipate coming in to actually pay for all of the expenditures. The blue line that we highlighted and all the way over to the right in particular, those are the amount. That's the amount we anticipate having to raise from the taxpayers in the district, either residential or commercial. Right now, That increase is about 1.34%, and that's what Dr. Centimore mentioned. That number is what I would say significantly below the 2%, and certainly significantly below what it came in this year, which was 3.29, the school year that we're operating in right now. The yellow line that we highlighted there, it just shows the current, I'll say, shortfall. We have a little bit of work to do. We have to balance this budget and get it down to zero so that the revenues equal the expenditures. Right now, the expenditures are slightly higher, about 551,000. So that's what we're working on right now to identify ways to trim those expenditures. And then at the bottom of the slide here, a little complicated, but I'll try to summarize it quickly, and that is, we just picked 5 different scenarios based on homes and their assessed values in the community. And that's really something that people would have to look at the tax bills, their own individual real estate tax bills, to see their assessed value. And all the way over to the right at the bottom of this page, it shows the effect of this proposed budget on a tax bill, depending upon the assessed value. Next slide, please.
Now, Mr.
Okay.
Hauser, I know sometimes we get questions about people's tax bills, and oftentimes, what they're experiencing doesn't align to what they're hearing from the schools. And so, what you'll do a lot of times is you'll reach out to the assessor's office to try to get some more detail, and then try to, I know you've worked with some people in the past, you've gotten some recent inquiries as well.
Yeah, and we're always here to help if anyone has a question on their tax bills. This slide here, we just highlighted really, I'll say, the top 4 expenditure line, or the line items in the budget that are really driving the increase. Some of this is nothing new from prior years, but I'll just quickly go through it to clarify. So health insurances, which could also include vision, dental, and medical, we not only provide that for active employees, but we also provide that for retirees. So we're anticipating that going up about $1.4 million, or a little more than 4%. The bond anticipation note. So when the community approves a capital project, we typically borrow in increments as the different projects are approved by the state. So we're borrowing money in anticipation of actually going out for a bond when the project is all done. When we do that, we do have to make a principal payment and not just an interest payment. So on that particular bond anticipation note, we're being required to make a $1.1 million principal payment, which didn't exist in the past. The next line, the third line, contract transportation. So even though we have a very robust and an excellent in-house transportation department here with our own bus drivers, our own driver assistants, mechanics, and all, unfortunately, we don't have enough of those dedicated people to actually drive the buses to get our kids to and from school. So we're forced, I'll say, to go out and contract with a private contractor, which for us, it's Suffolk Transportation. So as we do our best to try to retain bus drivers and bus driver assistants, if we cannot do that, we have to take individual bus routes and contract them out. So here we're proposing an anticipated increase of about $537,000 if we have to contract out bus routes. The last item is the state retirement system. So we actually belong or participate in 2 retirement systems. One is called the local retirement system, which is for non-instructional. I'll say non-teachers, non-administrators. It's for all the other employees in the district. That's what we refer to as the state retirement system. The other one is called the teachers retirement system. This year, the state retirement system has advised us to budget 16.5% of each non-instructional, non-administrator salary to be set aside for the state retirement system. So that increase is coming in at about $315,000, almost 8% there. And then we just made a note at the bottom that we continue to look at student enrollment, all right, and individual class sections in school buildings.
Yeah, so in a previous budget presentation, we looked at enrollment, and there was a little bit of a decline in enrollment. We looked at the elementary level, there'll be, with that enrollment decline, a couple less sections. So we do have some retirements. The vast majority we will need to replace. But generally when you have a retirement and then you replace, there's generally what's called breakage, because an outgoing person will tend to have a little bit higher salary because of their years of service than somebody just starting in. But there are some positions, whether it's at the elementary level or some of the other content areas, that we're going to look to take advantage of the retirement. And certainly we have been factoring that into the revenue versus expenditures.
I don't want to bore anybody with the next 22 pages. I even find it difficult to read these small numbers, but this is the detail of the actual budget, line by line. These 2 or 3 pages that I have up right now, what we did is we summarized them, each of the codes, into the codes with the largest increases down to the smallest increases. And then after these 3 pages are the actual 10,000 plus line items that make up the budget. So like I said, we'll have this posted on the district's website. If anybody wants to download it, you are free to do that. However, if you want a larger version that we can print that for you as well. But the column in yellow over there is the proposed budget, which is subject to change. Like I said before with the calendar, we still have until mid-April for the board to actually adopt the budget.
Do you guys have any copies here tonight? I know that in the past, we made sure that we have like copies just so next time for the next meeting. If we can have copies, so if the public wants to take it on their way out, they have them, or on their way in.
Yep, we can do that. Yep, and we will. Okay. And that's all I have. Any questions?
Not really a question. I just have to thank you for the Excel sheet because I love Excel. So I'm actually probably unusual because I'm very excited to look through those 20 pages on Excel. So thank you for providing that. That's going to make it a lot easier. So appreciate it.
You're welcome.
So last year, I voted no when we did budget adoption, and I felt very bad because I know you work extremely hard. But I had said to you, if you guys didn't come under a certain number, I was not going to vote yes. I told Dr. C that. I know you guys did bring it down, but it was still above the number I wanted. I am going to say thank you for listening from last year and this year coming back with lower. I do know that we have more state aid right now. We're still working on the numbers, but it looks good so far. It really looks very good, and I'm happy to see that we'll be able to go out to the public with a lower tax levy than we have in a very long time.
Any other questions? Thank you, Mr. Hauser. Do we have student government? No. Do we have Orba? SEPTA? PTA Council? I saw you. Come on up. I know. Yeah, just press the button. The one on the right, yeah. There you go.
All right. Hello, everybody. I'm Melinda Monahan, the Council of PTA's president. First of all, I would like to thank the Harlem Wizards for coming to Connecticut and challenging our teachers and staff to a basketball game. Of course, our principals, teachers, and staff were up to the challenge. Thank you for making it fun and entertaining for our community. Whenever asked, they are always there to help the PTA. I'd like to give a very big thank you to all the PTAs. They all came together and made the event run smoothly. Thank you for the community for coming out and making it a sold-out event. Our sponsors stepped up, as they always do, and donated whatever they could. It was an amazing event. Dr. C, the Board of Ed, Mr. Mallory, thank you for always backing the PTA. And as you all know, the PTA is always striving to bring the community together. Please join your local PTA. I have flyers outside on the chair as you go out. They look like this, very easy, QR code. This will be like this forever, so just bring one home, and every year you could sign up. We really appreciate it. Thank you.
Thank you. And I know we have the Wizards as a discussion item, Ms. DiLorenzo added, but I just wanted to thank you for all your efforts and everybody involved for putting it together. It was a great event. Okay, I will now open the floor for the first public comment portion of the agenda. An additional public comment period will be held later in the evening. I will call individuals forward one at a time. Please wait for my acknowledgement before stepping up to the podium. Any person wishing to address the board shall address the board president. Comments should be kept as brief as possible. Each person will be limited to 3 minutes for one or more topics. Individual employees, parents, or children should not be identified by name, title, position, grade, or building. The use of foul language and threatening comments will not be tolerated, and the board will consider a recess until order is restored. In accordance with policy 1230, public comment will not exceed 30 minutes. If there are additional persons wishing to speak, the board may consider a motion to extend the time. Number 1.
Good evening. We are all here to speak on behalf of ourselves and for our children as well. We are also here to speak on the behalf of several other parents and their children. We all have something in common. Our kids all belong to the same classroom. Our children all are sharing the same feelings and experiences that a few of us parents would like to share with you all here tonight. We'd also like to shed some light on the current dynamics in the classroom. We respectfully ask that this letter be accepted by the district clerk to be kept on file and on record. Thank you.
Thank you. If you could please hand the letter to the district clerk, that'd be great. Number 2, she's Miss McCarthy right there.
Hello, everyone. I am also a parent of one of the children in the effective classroom that we're speaking about. And I'm speaking for this group when I say that we want to be clear that the situation that we're currently finding ourselves in is not just about this teacher keeping her job and being able to return to the classroom, although obviously that's something that we greatly support, but there is more to this. This is about our kids, her kids, and their academic and emotional well-being. This is about getting their voices heard. It's been 2 months since their teacher was removed from the classroom for a second time. We were all told we should expect a resolution by the end of February, but clearly that did not happen as we're still talking about this and it's mid-March. We all feel that we've been very patient throughout this process and have given you all the benefit of the doubt, but the bottom line here is that this has not been resolved in a reasonable time frame. So it's become very clear to us that you're failing our kids. The majority of the parents in this class are beyond frustrated with the education that their children are currently receiving, and that's because we have noticed a drastic and noticeable change in them. My child personally has come home with grades far lower than their norm on recent tests, and they're struggling with their homework each night. As a result of this change, some parents are now requesting that their child receive extra help services in school as well as privately. Some are even choosing to pay out of their own pockets for private tutors in order to help bridge the gap in education their child now has as a direct result of the decisions that this district has made. Parents are now trying to solve solutions to a problem that you all helped create for our children. Nothing seems to change unless we are extremely vocal about it and make requests for improvement that should have been proactively offered due to the circumstances. None of this extra support was needed when their original teacher was in the classroom. Please understand that with each day that passes where this is not resolved, it's only showing us all how much our children's education does not matter to you all, and it demonstrates just how much this administration and board is letting them down. Thank you.
Thank you.
Good evening. I too am a parent.
Number 3?
Yes.
I'm just waiting for the time. I think she's having some difficulties.
Right?
Yep.
I too am a parent with a child in that classroom. We've been told by administration that our kids were getting an education from a quote certified substitute teacher, but you can be certified in anything. What's happening now is that the 3rd grade curriculum is being thrown.
We're just going to try to keep it as general as possible, not give grades, buildings, any kind of
Okay, sure.
information.
What's happening now is that a curriculum is being thrown at a substitute teacher, and she's expected to teach it. Way more goes into educating children than following a teacher's guide. Because of the lack of experience with our children and with the curriculum, there are no small strategic groups put in place based on their ability and their needs. Specific standards need to be taught in order for these children to be successful. This is their first testing year. They're struggling on lessons and units. They will be missing standards that need to be taught prior to the state test. And I know how important that is for schools, the grades, right? Everyone looks at data. Our kids are missing concrete foundational skills that they need in order to be successful in years to come. I'm sure we can all agree here that experience is a huge advantage to having a successful and strong academic school year for students in any grade. There's no way any teacher can master any curriculum if they are jumping from grade to grade or class to class. This teacher is now simply being set up for failure. It is evident that more support is needed in this classroom. The district is not providing an appropriate education for them, nor the nurturing environment that they deserve, which they had been previously receiving. Thank you.
Thank you. Number 4?
Hi, good evening. I'm also another parent in the same classroom. And so I wanted to say, sadly, for many parents like myself, this is the second time like this, that something that happened to us and our children in this district. Just 2 years ago in the same school, early in the school year, my child's teacher was no longer in the classroom and was replaced by a substitute teacher for the remainder of that school year. Their education that year was severely affected, and those students, my daughter included, had fallen drastically behind academically in comparison to the standard and the other classes in that grade level. Let us also not forget that our 8 and 9-year-old kids began their education during the start of COVID. They had already lost so many childhood experiences in preschool, UPK, and kindergarten that others have been fortunate enough to have. And here we are now. More than half of their academic years have been subpar and a constant struggle. We all pay significant taxes in this district, and with being a Title I school, I believe the district receives funds for extra help. Can some of these funds be utilized to help our kids receive the extra support that is now obviously needed in their classroom? This we're asking for in order to keep up with the standard for their grade level so that they do not continue to fall more behind. If the answer is no, then we need to come up with a better solution than what we have. It's evident that it's not working and that our kids are falling behind, and however you decide to choose that situation. Thank you.
Thank you. Number 5.
Good evening. I am also a parent of a child in this classroom. I think we can all agree that this situation has been mishandled since the very beginning. The truth of the matter is that you've managed to turn an entire classroom of kids that were once full of enthusiasm and began showing a love of learning, which then transpired into feelings of pride and accomplishment that shined through at home, to now an entire classroom full of children that are oftentimes sad, frustrated, confused, and lost. every day since she was removed, we are now having to deal with tantrums and tears over homework. They say it's not fun anymore. They say, I don't understand it. This is not just a coincidence that the majority of this class is now struggling significantly. Extra help is currently being offered once a week for a few short minutes to only a few select people. But if the majority of the class is struggling, then it's no longer extra, and much more consistent support is needed in the classroom for all. The fact that so many are now struggling is a major red flag that something is wrong here. I have not heard of this being the case in the other two classrooms. So I ask you, how is this fair for our kids? Your plan B here is not working, and I am telling you that you are failing our children in every way possible. You took so much more from them than I think you even realize, and I ask myself and wonder, do you even care? The majority, if not all of the parents, have seen a decline for our kids since the removal of their teacher. The difference we see is deeply concerning for us as parents, as it should be for you as the Board of Ed and administration. Yet what is being done? We expect excellence from Connecticut School District, not mediocrity. Days have turned into weeks, weeks have turned into months, and every day our children come home asking when their teacher is coming back. Every day. And every day we as parents are having to deal with that and having to tell them, I'm sorry, baby, I just don't know. The only update any of us have received throughout all of this has been that there is no update. I'm sorry, but that is not an answer and is just not acceptable. Whatever is.
I just need you to press the button again. I'm sorry.
Thank you. Sorry. I'm sorry, I'm trying to remember where I left off. The only update any of us have received throughout all of this has been that there is no update. I'm sorry, but that is not an answer and it's just not acceptable. Whatever is being done behind the scenes regarding this needs to be expedited and prioritized, please. Because at this point, you have caused more harm than good by removing their teacher from their classroom. Our children are the ones who were left there to deal with the instability, left to deal with the aftermath and ramifications of the chaos that ensued as a result of a few select voices that you all chose to hear more than ours.
Thank you.
Why?
I'm just going to need you to wrap it up. Thank you.
How many more unanswered calls do we need to make? How many more Board of Ed meetings do we need to attend? How many more signatures and petitions do we need to send? How many more stories of support do you need to hear? How many more children need to cry to you and beg you to have their teacher return to the classroom before you listen and do something to help them? This needs to be fixed now. Actually, it needed to be fixed weeks ago. And each day that passes, each day that us parents and our children continue to be let down, disappointed, and frankly ignored by this district is a disgrace and speaks volumes. It is nothing short of a reflection of you.
Thank you so much.
Of this board and administration, and is only showing the entire community that.
I'm sorry. I really need you. Your 3 minutes were up like 2 minutes ago.
I know, but I'm speaking.
I know, but I'm sorry. But I have 10 more people.
I have
two more.
It is nothing short of a reflection. Oh, wait, let me just. It's only showing the entire community that our 15 children are not worth time or effort. We are here to say that they want their teacher back. They want this rectified. We want this rectified. We no longer want to be ignored. We want structure. We want stability to be restored. And we want more support for our kids. And we want it now because we believe that is what they deserve. That is what all kids deserve. Thank you for your time.
Number 6.
I think in between speakers, if you can, when you're done speaking, shut it off so that the next person, it doesn't. I think as the time's out. So
It doesn't time out. It's when we press
on the right, so it doesn't time out.
It's when we press the 30-second. That's when it shuts it off. It doesn't time out.
I am a student in this class. I want to share with you how she comforts me when I am sad and helps me when I don't understand my work. She's helped me in times with self-confidence, and I am a proud student of my teacher. Learning isn't the same without her. When I walk into my classroom, I walk in with a frown. I miss her.
Thank you for being brave and speaking out. Thank you. Number 7. Number 8.
Okay. So I'm both a friend and my children have been students of the teacher in question. 2 of my 4 children have had her, and she is a friend of mine for over 30 years. I cannot say I'm happy about having to be here speaking in front of all of you tonight. The fact that the teacher in question has not been reinstated yet is beyond a travesty. I stand here saying teacher in question because none of you will allow me to say her name. I will be told it is to protect her. However, that is hogwash because not a single person in the district has done one thing to protect this teacher who has a pristine record for the last 27 years. The only ones protected in all of this are the 3 mothers who decided to start a witch hunt
I'm sorry.
on an innocent person
Excuse
and
me.
then hide
Excuse me.
behind the
I can't let you discuss any other students or anything pertaining to anything. You have to keep it to your friends, the colleague, whoever. You cannot discuss anything outside of the situation. You were headed that direction. I'm sorry. I can't let you do that. I just need you to press the button.
Well, tonight, the community wants you all to know that we have had enough. If this unprotected teacher does not get reinstated by the end of the meeting, the 3 mothers' names will be made known to the community.
Ma'am,
And
I am asking you to please not go there. I have asked you. If you continue, I'm going to ask you to stop speaking.
Okay. It is not okay in any capacity to ruin a person's life because you have a vendetta against them. This has gone on way too long, since November, without any evidence found against this innocent teacher. The community expects this to end tonight.
Thank you. I really need to caution the public. You cannot discuss anything pertaining to numbers of victims, pertaining to numbers of students, pertaining to the teacher's name, the building, anything. If it continues, anybody that's left to speak of the situation, I will have to ask you to not. Number 9. Are you number 10 or 9?
The teacher is not one of my kids' students, but everybody was excellent when they came up and spoke. But in 10 minutes, you have a bunch of names who like this lady. Now, you're in charge, right, Mr. Superintendent? I have not heard you say a word about anything. Not a word since
This is our meeting. I run the meeting.
I'm speaking to the
I
superintendent.
understand, but you're supposed to speak
Okay,
to
I'll speak to
me.
the president and you.
Perfect.
I haven't heard you say a word, okay?
Correct.
She's been a teacher for 27 years.
I'm sorry. I'm not going to have you cannot disclose any information on this person.
So for a few people who came up and said something.
Sir, are you?
What are we allowed to say, ma'am?
You're allowed to be as general as possible. You're allowed to be as general as possible.
All I'm asking is to get the people who pay the taxes in this school want her reinstated, okay?
Understood.
And they're the boss. Every one of yous up there have a job, except the board. I know you don't get paid because of the taxpayers of Connecticut School District. And that's definitely for you, Mr. Superintendent, too, okay? Okay? So what I'm saying, okay, she's been a wonderful teacher. I know her personally. She's a great lady. And the day you don't think it's normal, and I have the experience, okay, because when I was in school, I was in special ed, and back then they bounced you back and forth to school districts. They didn't know where you were going, okay? And I had a lady, Mrs. Houlis, was a school teacher. She's probably dead by now because she was old when I had her. And I used to hug her leg, and she used to give me a kiss on my forehead.
Sir, I thank you for coming up and speaking.
I'm not robots
Would you
in
want
this
to
world.
leave that with the district clerk, the
Okay,
signatures?
leave what with you? We'll leave what, ma'am?
The signatures.
I'll leave this with you, yes. Unless Yvonne wants to do something different with it, okay? All I'm saying is we have a teacher who is good for our little kids, and you're not doing nothing, Mr. Superintendent, and you make big dollars. Okay? You need to do something, sir. You need to...
Sir, thank you for your time. Did you want to leave that list with us? Perfect.
Madam President, if you like, I could just remind the audience of Board Policy 1230. Specifically, the board will not permit in public session discussion involving individual district personnel or students. Persons wishing to discuss matters involving individual district personnel or students should present their comments and or concerns to the superintendent during regular business hours.
No, there's also going to be no yelling from the audience. Thank you, Mr. Fasano. Number 11. He was 10.
Oh, she was going.
Oh, they're switching. Number 10. Right, so she's 11, right? Yep.
Hi. I can't believe that I'm standing here again to talk about a teacher who has dedicated her life to caring and nurturing for young children for a long time. The allegations were made, the district conducted its investigation more than once, we know that, and no wrongdoing was found. So I don't understand why she's not back with her students. I feel as if the districts have dug themselves so deep that they feel like they can't turn back. And it's very sad. At this point, it's not only affecting the kids that are in her class who miss her and love her, obviously, but it's tarnishing an incredible teacher's reputation. The ripple effects on this teacher in this district and beyond, all the teachers, it's going to affect all of these teachers. It's immeasurable. Every day this goes on, it only makes things worse for our children and their educators. At some point in all of our lives, a teacher has shown us kindness, comfort, and reassurance. I know that's happened for me. Have we really reached the point where a teacher can't even offer?
Nope.
Okay. Have we reached the point where we can't show kindness and support? If that's where we are as a society, we may as well remove human connection from the classroom entirely. This has to stop. I'm pleading with you. Please, please resolve this. I truly hope we learn from this and we can do better for our future educators and for this teacher and for everyone involved. That's it.
Number 12.
Hi, I'm a former student, and this teacher is one of my favorite teachers. I want other kids to feel the happy experience with this amazing teacher. This teacher does not deserve to leave the school because she makes learning fun, and it would be unfair to the kids in her class and the kids that might get her next year for her to leave. The kids in her class deserve the experience with her for the whole year. And I don't know the details of what happened, but you are not setting a good example to us kids in the district. If this teacher makes a mistake, then show her compassion and give her a second chance. You teach us that it is okay to make mistakes because we learn from them, and that's why I think this teacher deserves to stay. Thank you.
Thank you. Thank you for being brave and sharing.
As a parent,
Are you number 13?
we're sharing.
Okay.
As a parent in the district, a former student of the district, and a taxpayer, I am saddened at how this matter has been handled. I am disappointed in our district for many reasons. One reason is a lack of transparency. You have left this community in the dark with respect to the details of this matter and for the lack of resolution of this matter. It has been months. This is ridiculous. Months of wasted time, wasted resources, and wasted money. Second, despite the many pleas of the community, you continue to disregard the consensus and are siding with the minority. Third, to echo my very brave daughter's sentiments, you are setting a poor example to our students. You, the board, have the power to rectify the situation, yet you choose not to. You need to return this amazing teacher back to the classroom where she belongs. And if you don't, then you owe this community an explanation as to why you are not allowing her to return. This is ridiculous. This is time. This is meetings that keep going where we keep coming. Please do the right thing.
Thank you. Number 13. You're gonna. Nope, number 13 was the last one for this session.
Just, trying to be fair to everybody. You guys have, the floor. Okay, now, I'm going to talk to everybody about budget, near and dear to my heart, money. I had sent an email to the board, to the superintendent and to Mr. Hauser about the taxes, what we're doing this year. Last year, the rate of increase was 3.29%. My taxes for the school district went up 3.7%. Of course, that's the roughest part of your bill. It's about 2/3 of it. Library went up 2.9%, but then you've got county, the police, the lighting, the town, all went up an average of 4.5%. Garbage, police, and Lakeland Fire Department are truly the bigger hits. Islip Town went up 11%. State taxes went up 103%. And our out-of-county tuition went up 45%. So we're looking to do something to try and recalculate everyone's taxes because they were very, very high last year, and this is where we try to flatten things out, which is what we've talked about. So I was happy to hear that the cap is like 1.35% because that finally makes some sense that we're going to get a little relief from last year, and if we're 3.3 last year, 1.3 this year, we're going to flatten out to close to 2 point change in that amount of time. We have been averaging about $7 million in increases, so if we get that $4+ million from the state, that will help, but we're probably going to wind up short again. And I think one of the problems, as we see it, is that we kind of follow Sachem about a year or two behind. So every time you see Sachem with a problem, our problem seems to come 2 years later, only because they're about 45% bigger than us, so our problem comes in a little bit later. So if you're following Sachem the last 2 years, you've got to start paying attention to what Connecticut's doing this year. And I think that it's going to be a rough go to try and stay under 1.35. But I think you're going to have to work the magic and figure out how it's going to happen because, you saw they tried to go over the budget last year and they got voted down. They went back down to 1.9% in the past. And now they're looking at closing a school and they can't. So they're getting rid of a lot of secondary sports, secondary clubs, and I don't think we want that. So we've just got to be smarter when it comes to what we're going to do with this budget this year. And, I think you're on the right track. I think Bob's on the right track. But that's one of my concerns. Thank you.
Thank you. All right. There will be another public comment portion at the end of the meeting. One comment, number 14. Just press the button on the right.
Okay, good evening. Madam President, I'm a little concerned, and you have possibly violated the board's policy by using the term "the victims." Okay? You show your prejudice a little bit with that. You need to be careful. It's quite apparent that the reason that the board has not been able to make a decision about this is because it's probably in the hands of the attorneys. So some of the responsibility is shifted away from the board and to the legal beagles. But you have the obligation to go to the attorneys and tell them to present a reasonable position, okay, that is acceptable to all parties in order to get this resolved.
Thank you. At the next public comment portion. At the next public comment portion. No, that's. Sir, we're not going to have a conversation from the audience. You can get another turn at the next public comment.
We understand. We understand.
Jackie, no, we're not doing this because it's going to.
Marisol, at some point we have to make a statement, and that's fine. We don't do it at the next one. I'm not gonna play this, and it's not.
Jackie, please,
Marisol,
no,
I want to say something, and I'm not saying it about this. I want to say this, and we should have said this from the start. We are going to make a statement at the next board meeting. We did. No, in regards, please listen to me for a moment. When it comes to anything that's personnel, we cannot speak in public. That is for everybody's benefit. That is to protect our staff, students, and the community. It's not to not be transparent. I believe in transparency strongly, okay? But I also have to say that I trust the processes when we're doing things. I'm not trying to be disrespectful. I understand you're upset and you're frustrated, and I don't blame you, okay? But I also believe that we have to realize that everyone's working diligently to come to some sort of resolve with whatever that may be. We are not trying to keep you in the dark. And again, apologize if you feel that way. I ran into people at Duffield the other night and they approached me, and I was trying to be as, I try to say to people, we cannot speak about it. I did, but it's at the same token, I understand your frustration. We all understand your frustration. We're just not in a spot. It's not that we're sitting here stone-faced and not speaking. We're not supposed to be speaking about staff in public. It's against every single thing that goes on. Trust me, staff wouldn't want us to speak about them in public. And if they wanted that.
I'm going to echo.
No, wait, I want to just say one thing. Hold on. If they wanted that in the past, We have, and I will say this because when I was board president, in the past, we have said, we have had legal say with other, when it was other staff members or whatever it was, if you want to speak about this, we can have legal draw something up and then they sign it and then they're entitled to speak about it, or we're allowed to speak about it because a staff member gave permission. We are not at that point, nor, but this is the thing. It's not, ma'am, but here's the thing. I need to say this, okay? When I was dealing with an issue that had to do with things on walls, for instance, and ma'am,
We are not going to scream from the audience, please. No screaming.
Is it right?
I'm going to have to ask people to leave if they're going to scream from the audience.
Students or parents in an open forum. It's not right. We shouldn't be speaking about staff, students, or parents in a public forum. No matter how frustrated or angry we are, everyone should be protected that privacy.
Okay. Right, I just want to say that all of us have been out there before we came up here, and believe me, we all understand your frustration. And I can honestly say, when our hands are tied, they're tied. And do we always agree with them being tied? We don't. But never think we do not comprehend and understand your position out there, because I was you, they were you, we all were you.
And don't think we don't hear you, because we hear you. But there, like Jackie said, is a process in place. We have to wait out the process. We have to see what happens. And I am not entertaining any more call outs from the audience. I'm sorry. No, I'm not conversation. I didn't say conversations. I said call outs from the. Well, I apologize that I'm trying to have a meeting here.
You sit up there like nobody can talk. That's the world. We can talk. Have a voice. And it's going to change. And it's ridiculous what goes on. Okay? You know what? Everybody's got people. Everybody's got adults here. I agree, okay? But people can get up and say what they want. Have all this panel standing here, sitting here, not saying a word. It's bull. It's bull. Because the majority rules. The majority rules. Just how the president just became the president, because we the people put him in. Same thing. Majority just wants the teacher back in the classroom, and none of you should have to say anything. Even Mr. Superintendent. None of you should have to say anything. We the people.
Sir, I'm going to ask. Yes, please. Thank you. Can I call for a motion and a second to approve the instructional and non-instructional personnel items as presented?
Motion.
Oh, I don't have it.
Financial as section I and personnel is J. Did we skip public comment with E?
You have the financial.
Financial? Okay.
I know, but I don't have the wording.
Look at me.
It's not on.
Look at me.
Oh, I am. I'm fine.
Okay.
I don't know. I'm gonna just wing it.
Are you at finance?
Yeah. No, I don't have it. She didn't put-
Okay, yeah. Take my.
Oh, it's fine. It's fine. I got it. Can I have a motion and a second to approve the financial matters 1 through 8?
Second.
Any questions?
No.
All in favor?
Aye.
Aye. Can I please have a motion and a second to approve the personnel items as presented for the instructional and non-instructional?
Motion.
Second.
All in favor?
Aye.
Aye.
Aye. Can I call for a motion and a second to approve items 2 through 21 of the consent agenda?
Motion.
Second.
So we are going to pull from the consent agenda, items number 2, 3, and 4 for a separate vote. So can I call for a motion and a second to approve items 5 through 24?
Motion.
Second.
Any questions?
I had a quick question about, the budget transfers, which is number 5. Just a quick question. Very tight.
Good.
Trying to find it because we have a lot on here. The one, just lost it, about the Ozobots. Oh, what happened? If I can ask you about the the
a
Ozobot
BOCES.
platform, because I mean that's been something that the kids have always done. Why are they no longer doing that? I see we have to transfer, but what happened to that we're no longer able to get that we have to transfer money in for the Ozobot?
That's for replacement Ozobots. So the quote that came in was a little bit higher than expected. So I do believe, and I don't have it in front of me, but I do believe what you're referencing is so that we can make the purchase for replacement sets.
Okay, so we're not getting rid of the Ozobots.
No.
Great.
Looked like
I wasn't totally sure. I wanted to make sure.
It
Okay.
looked like it just said that it was going to go through BOCES, the same as Legos. The Legos is on there too, and the transfer was because BOCES is.
Yeah, they weren't doing
they
it.
have
So
to go through
I don't want
BOCES
us to
for
not
it.
do it anymore. So.
So you can make purchases like that from the company itself or through BOCES, and that may have been the situation where we chose
I think we got
to
money
make-
from BOCES, didn't we, for the Ozobots and the Legos? I thought there was some money. That's why it went through there. I could be wrong, but I thought that that's what we did when we were discussing it.
Sometimes when we look to make purchases like that, it is beneficial to the district in the long run to
They
make
buy
a
it in
purchase
bulk.
through
Yeah.
BOCES, correct. However, the original intent for that purchase was through a budget code within the curriculum budget. So the quote that we had exceeded what I had available, and we had the opportunity to make the purchase through BOCES. But it is to enhance our collection, not to remove any parts of it.
Right, that's good. Thank you so much.
Okay.
I just have a comment about number 24. I just, for transparency reasons, would like to say, because guest speakers I usually don't approve due to the money. This one is $10,500. We are getting a $10,000 grant, so it's only $500. Why I'm saying yes. I just want to put it out there.
Thank you, April. I'm so excited. I'm gonna definitely come see this speaker. This is the speaker that we saw at the mental health, and he was fabulous. Everybody should get to hear him speak. He's incredible.
Any other questions? All in favor?
Aye.
Aye. Can I please have a motion and a second to approve item number 2 from the consent agenda, consult agreement, external investigation report A?
Motion.
Second.
Ms. Terragrossa, how do you vote?
Yes.
Ms. DiLorenzo?
Yes.
Ms. Napolitano-Ferno?
Yes.
I'm a yes. Ms. Iannatelli?
Yes.
Can I have a motion and a second to approve item number 3 from the consent agenda, consult agreement, external investigation report B?
Motion.
Second.
Ms. Terragrossa?
Yes.
Ms. DiLorenzo?
Yes.
Ms. Napolitano-Ferno?
So I'm gonna just say one thing. Well, because I told you I was, April. I'm not gonna not. I'm gonna vote yes, but with the caveat that I believe that we are wasting taxpayer money on these investigations, especially when I am positive that this was already investigated in a different investigation, and I just feel like we constantly are just tossing money away. But because I have no issue with seeing how it plays out, I again would normally vote no, but because I want to see how this plays out, especially since I'm the one involved, I am fine with saying yes. But I will say this. We are setting a precedent when we start investigating board members because of something that they did as a parent for their own child. When we start investigating board members because they went and defended their own child in a school building, then we really need to think about what kind of precedent we are setting.
I'm a yes. Miss Iannatelli?
I'm just gonna comment that I think all of these investigations are also a total waste of money.
Well, the DOS is not. A DOSer is for a student.
Right, well,
DOSer is for students. When we start investigating, when we say that DOSes shouldn't be investigated for
It's my
students, we
turn.
should say that DOSes, then what we're saying is students don't matter, and students do matter. If a DOSer should always be investigated.
but I will say yes to this one.
And just so everyone knows, the DOSer is not.
Can I call for a motion and a second to approve item number 4, consultant agreement, external investigation report C?
Second.
Ms. Torregrosa?
I'm going to vote yes with the caveat that this is the biggest waste of money of the 3. However, I'm also more than happy to see how it plays out, considering it is involving me. So I think this one is utterly ludicrous, but I would not want it to appear as though I have anything to hide. So I'm fine with it. It's a yes for that reason, but I think of the 3, not saying that others aren't, this one is the biggest waste.
Ms. DiLorenzo?
Yes.
Ms. Napolitano-Farno?
I'm a yes. I believe that open meetings law should be followed.
So I'm going to vote yes with the same caveat as Melissa. This also involves me, and I just want to show how ridiculous, in my opinion, it is, but I will vote yes. Ms. Iannatelli?
So I have the same as those two. I'm in this one too. But I'm voting no due to the fact that I 100% know this is totally a waste because I know it didn't happen. So this is a no for me.
April, you know what I find interesting though? The reason I
Not for
voted
us to
yes.
do this.
No, I'm just saying the reason I voted yes for an investigation against myself, and I'm allowed to self-identify, is that I find it absolutely ludicrous as a parent. We are now saying that board members can't act as parents. Board members cannot defend their own children by email or otherwise, because if you do, you will be then investigated for defending your own child. If there is not the most ridiculous of all, it's that one.
All right, thank you. So they all pass, but
I don't think that there are investigations. There's investigations on everybody in this place.
so now we have the superintendent's update, Dr. Centimore.
Waste of money.
All right.
Thank you, Ms. Mallon. First, I'd like to start by sending our support out to everyone out east who were impacted by the wildfires, and I want to express appreciation to all our first responders, especially our volunteer firefighters. There are a lot of great things happening around the district. The high school recently held a college night for juniors. The district held an amazing Random Acts of Kindness Week. Thank you to the World Language Honor Society on just a fabulous international night. Kudos to all the teachers, the chairperson, all the students, and especially all the parents who did a lot of great cooking for the event. February, now that we're into March, this is a powerful time in our schools as we celebrate people from all backgrounds, cultures, abilities, and interests, from Black history to women's history, disabilities awareness, holidays like Ramadan, St. Patrick's Day, Eid, and again, those interests such as music in our schools. The PTA, who spoke today, and I know we have people that want to speak about it later, they held a wonderful event with the Harlem Wizards. I want to express my gratitude to the PTA Council, all the building PTAs, and all the staff who participated, all the other volunteers, and for our community to come out and support what was a great evening. Special thank you to Miss Anne Marie Martello for providing the Connect Quad Gets Gritty bracelets that night, about 1,000 of them, and that Connect What Gets Gritty is part of the month of March with the growth mindset theme as the district looks to expand on resiliency and grit. The high school recently hosted a mock trial competition, and their student government sponsored a March Madness basketball event. Duffield recently held a wonderful literacy night, and Sycamore held a pop reading celebration. Idle Owl will be hosting a Makerspace Fair later in the month on the 19th, and a talent show that will be held at OBMS on the 28th. As I like to say, Broadway continues to meet Nequat. This Thursday, March 13th through the 15th, the high school will perform their musical Legally Blonde, which is recommended for students 13 and older. The talent of our students across the district is absolutely amazing. The guest chef has started to visit our cafeterias once again this year, and he will continue to do so for the throughout the month. Big theme is going green and protein. This past Saturday, the two middle schools, RMS and OBMS, played one another in boys volleyball. It was a lot of fun, and they were really close matches. The varsity wrestling program is being recognized by the Wrestling Hall of Fame for at the Wrestling Hall of Fame spring fundraiser, and they're recognizing the wrestling program for their body of work over the last 50 years. It is a fundraising event by the Hall of Fame. If you'd like to go, the tickets are available for purchase at $175. Congratulations to Coach Santoro and his assistants, our talented wrestlers, and to all those who came before, coaches and wrestlers, over these years, 50 years. Spring is right around the corner, and with it starts our spring athletic seasons. Wishing all of our teams the best of luck. The PTSA, that's the high school PTA, will have a big craft fair on March 22nd, Saturday, March 22nd at the high school. Both OBMS and RMS will hold pop concerts at the end of the month, while the elementary schools will continue to celebrate music throughout the month. As always, thank you to our PTA, SEPTA, ORBA, Athletic Boosters, Civics, and Rotary for all that you do for our students, staff, and community. Thank you.
Thank you, Dr. Centimore. We have our committee reports. The Developmental Disabilities Committee, Ms. Inatelli, Ms. Napolitano-Ferno.
I'm actually very happy. So there was a situation with the committee had chosen several famous people, and they're going to be highlighted. So somebody who has ADHD that is a famous person will be highlighted. Somebody who has autism who is a famous person will be highlighted. Each one with a different disability. And we went with the Yes We Can, Yes I Can, which was actually from one of the freshman awareness presenters. He did a great presentation, and we had brought it to them saying he even donated some books to this committee. What they're doing, which is the educators did an excellent job at picking people and using them to highlight all the disabilities and show that their disability has become an ability and how successful you can be. And you, no matter your struggles or your challenges, you can rise above them. We did have a little bit of a hiccup this week where Elon Musk is our Asperger's autism person that we're highlighting, and I am very happy to say that it was almost unanimous for the committee to stick with that person, since it is all apolitical, and we have several people that were chosen, so we're not looking at anyone's politics. We're looking at them strictly through the lens of a disability. And so many students look up to him because of Tesla and rocket ships and all that. And you want kids to understand that we don't discriminate against any of the people that were chosen. I didn't agree with every person that was chosen, but I understood why they were chosen. So you have to, really look at things from that lens and make it all about the kids with the special needs. And also for students that don't have special needs, to see how students that have special needs can rise above and be successful just like these other people. Don't let a disability hold you back. It is such a beautiful thing from a parent who has children with special needs. I am telling you, it is an amazing, amazing thing that this committee is doing, and I am so proud to be part of it.
I just would like to remind everybody that May 16th is the Disability Awareness Fair. There will also be a unified basketball game the same day. Please, if you can, try to come out. It's at the high school.
Also, to echo you, to echo you about unified, because I forgot, I was bringing that up. I went to the unified bowling this week, and it is really incredible. If you have any time, this Thursday is senior day for the bowling team at Bolero. I say it wrong, but Bolero, over in Sayville. I was just there. It is so beautiful to see these kids having the time of their lives. It is incredible. If you want to see some inspiration, the smiles from ear to ear, honestly, show up for a half an hour. I promise you, it will be one of the most amazing sporting events you see. Unified is something very near and dear.
Thank you. And I'm not on the committee, but I just wanted to say I actually purchased the crew neck and the t-shirt that was being sold with the students' artwork. They're really comfortable. I know that I had heard from the SEPTA rep that they closed the link and it's sold out and a lot of people were asking for it. So I believe they're reopening it
They were talking about reopening it, I think, April, wasn't it on the in-house though, I think in the school? And if anybody wanted, they could reach out.
Yeah, so when it reopens, they're actually really great, comfortable shirts, and it's a great message. The Emergency Management Committee, that's myself and Ms. Napolitano Ferno. You can start.
I just want to thank our security team in this district. Adam and Don are here tonight. I know they don't like when I highlight them, but I love to highlight you guys. And they are doing an incredible job keeping our students, staff, and everyone safe. Their team of people that they have, these guys and girls, they are really going above and beyond to make sure everybody's safe. Our committee is going over everything from making sure that we're keeping our doors locked. We're looking into, just so everyone knows, we're looking into in the future. You may hear about this. I'll be the one to break the news because I'm for it. To doing some sort of, in the past, we did backpack checks. At our high school or secondary schools, I firmly stand by, I do not care if you go through my kids' backpacks. I understand that there are some people who disagree with me, whether it be staff, students, parents, and I'm very sorry about that. But from my other, I say my day job, I try to tell people that it is important. It is important that we get back to these things. This should be something that we do, and I know that our security team does an exceptional job. Our admins step up to help them, and I am very proud to say that I would like to see this happen at a sooner time and start up again. It should be something that we do, and they do a great job doing it, and I appreciate that it's something that we brought forward, and they're going to do it again.
So I echo her sentiment. I love you guys and your security team and everything you do to keep our students safe. You too, Mr. Labate. And I also am for the background check, the backpack checks. I was going to bring that up. Not background checks. That's on staff, but
I like that too.
but I was going to bring that up, but you did, so that's all I had to.
A lot of the stuff we can't talk about in public, but
about.
I'm telling you, from me and Marisol telling you, they are doing an incredible job, and we are by far one of the districts that's way ahead of others.
If checking my kid's backpack is going to keep them safe, by all means, check their backpack.
Go to town, go to plastic one, see through. I don't care.
Right. Mental Health Advisory Committee, Ms. Napolitano Ferno, Ms. DiLorenzo.
That was me and right.
Yeah. Oh, actually, it was Mr. Grossa and Ms. Napolitano Ferno, right?
Yeah, so I just have that we talked about the March Easel initiative, which was the growth mindset and resilience, which loops in the implementation of grit. It's all connected one way or another. We saw a really wonderful presentation from Mr. Melfi. We did say a good shout out to our school social workers because the 2nd to the 8th was National School Social Work Week. So thank you to them as always. And I do have information for the Rotary District and Islip Arts Council is doing a Let It Flow art exhibit. The submission deadline is March 20th. It's for students to raise awareness about mental health through art, whether that be poetry, painting, whatever it is. It goes on for the whole week. It's actually going to be presented at the South Shore Mall. I have a flyer which I can make sure Ari gets and we can have it available. But we do have time to submit stuff still. So that would be cool to see some of our students represented there.
I'm going to piggyback. Last year I went to that. That was the last minute you and I showed up at the one of our students got an award. That was from that. It was from the art museum, the one that was over at the Bay Shore Mall. So we went last year and one of our students went all the way. As a matter of fact, her art piece is hanging, I believe, in Garbarino's office, if I'm not mistaken. That was one of them, one of our students. I want to say that Mr. Melfi and Mr. Mallory, our AD and our health teacher, did an incredible presentation. I went up to them after the meeting and I requested that I wanted to see if there was board support to have them come in and show that presentation, the slides, for everybody, because I would love for people to see what our health teachers are doing in health class. You know, we talk about we want more mental health, we want more this, we want more that, but yet they're doing an incredible job. They are a piece of the mental health. What they were teaching, what we saw was a mental health excellent slides. They were going over, they were making it so that people understood and students understood that after the class, if you wanted, you had another person that you could reach out to. Yes, their teachers they could reach out to, but their health teachers especially, they wanted them to know that, hey, we're here with all the mental health staff to support you. It was an excellent presentation, and I would love for the community to get to see that, even if it's just a piece of it. If there's board support to bring them in, I thought that would be great. And they both seem to be very much on board with it if we were okay with that. Especially since over the years, I've always heard, like, when we had to cut the budget and stuff, people would say, oh, we don't need all the health teachers. We don't need, they always came up. And I'm telling you, last year I said it first and foremost, they are a first line defense with our mental health. And after seeing the presentation that me and Melissa saw, you saw it firsthand. It was an excellent presentation, and we need more of that. We need more of that.
I would be for bringing that in.
And great job, Mr. Melfi. Great job, Mr. Malloy. I did say I was going to give them a shout out.
Thank you. Board of Ed topics. We have Board of Ed election backing, Ms. Napolitano-Ferno.
Okay, we have received a few emails in regards to how our Board of Ed elections work, how the campaigning and stuff works. I can only speak for myself. Over the years when I've campaigned on my own. When it came to finances, backing, you get community members to donate to you or whatever you do, fundraisers or whatever. What was brought to light, which is true, is that some of the bigger PAC organizations come in and they end up paying for things. Unfortunately, we had spoken about how it is difficult to alleviate that, if at all. I wasn't sure, that's why I wanted to bring it up to legal. These organizations, like for instance, the unions who back people wanted to know, what can we do to level the playing field for everybody? They feel that more people would step up to run if they didn't have to run against a PAC, pretty much. You're not running against somebody who's a grassroots. You're running against PAC organizations that are going to spend $50,000, $60,000, for people to get it. I understand that in regular elections as well as these, you're entitled to do that. Is there anything the board can do policy-wise to bring that in?
So generally, the way elections work in school districts, they're controlled by the education law. There are some overlap with the election law, but generally under the education law, the reporting of finances is fairly minimal, and you will not be able to prohibit someone from doing anything outside of what the statute says.
That's what I pretty much thought when I spoke to Marisol and he was speaking about it in generalities. And I figured that it was like all other elections where anybody could pretty much, as long as they say what they spend.
So I believe the district clerk is working on the candidate book, and in that candidate book, it will outline all the candidate expenditure requirements, which my office will review. Generally, as long as you stay below those thresholds, you don't need to report anything. Anything over that, you would need to report it, and that's consistent with everyone.
Thank you. Harlem Wizards, Miss DiLorenzo.
So the Harlem Wizards were here again. I hope everybody got a chance to go. It was, once again, as Dr. Senimore brought up before, and even, Melinda said, an incredible event, so much fun. And one of my favorite things about it, even though I will say I quote play because I actually don't even touch the ball, but being out there, it's the kids' faces, and I'm not an educator. I did it as a Board of Ed member, but I do work with children in the district. And I saw a lot of familiar faces, and to see their smiles when they see Miss Jackie from the library out there making a fool of herself, it's so heartwarming, and I love it because it is an event that we do that is really for the kids. We go out there, we throw the basket, we miss, we have fun. It's all for the kids. They love it. So thank you to our PTAs who they worked so hard to put this together. Thank you to the staff to go out there and basically put on a performance, along with the Wizards. Thank you to the Wizards. Thank you, everybody. And thank you to the custodial staff, because I don't know what that looked like when we left, but thank you, everybody, for making this event again. It really was a lot of fun. Definitely a lot of fun. And thank you for allowing me to play with the staff. It was really fun. Thank you.
I'm going to echo her sentiments, except I was injured, so I got injured at work beforehand, so I was unable to play, but I was still invited on the team and was going to play, so I stayed on the sideline and was the water girl for everybody. And I have to tell you, the kids were loving the entire show. I know that you guys normally do the Wizards for the PTA every few years. I love that you did it back to back. The community comes out. There was so much happiness, smiles, positivity. It was a great night. It was so amazing to see so many teachers this year. There was really a lot of people that donated their time and that came. Like last year, we had a big presence. This year, it was a huge presence. So when I said, I don't think I can play, they were like, it's all right. You sit over here. I said, it's okay. I'll sit over here. But it was a lot of fun to just be part of the team. Thank you for including us. Again, the educators, teachers, admin, staff, everybody did a great job. Thank you to all the PTAs. Thank you to all the community that came out to support the PTAs and this fabulous joint event. It was really a great event. And again, thank you to the custodial staff that afterwards takes care of really the big majority of the cleanup. And really, everybody did a great job. Thank you to our security, keeping everybody safe. Thank you to everybody who was there.
And it's just such high positive energy all around, and you see all kids from all grades having a great time.
It was so nice that and I think we said this at the last meeting. Did I can't remember. We were at the foreign language during the day right before. It was actually one right into the other, was the Foreign Language Honor Society.
International night.
The International night was incredible. These kids came out, and the things that they did, it is just so incredible. I saw one kid that had, a few students that had a setup with the American Girl dolls. I think it was London. It was just incredible. And everybody had different things to eat. There was every different place you could think of. They had Poland, they had Italy, they had Spain. It was just so incredible. And it was so nice that they were able to move it up so that people could go to that and right from that walk down and go to the Wizards. So I appreciate that the people in charge changed the time, because originally I think the times collided, and that was a great job of them doing that, because it allowed us all to support both instead of just one. And really, all the students and staff did an amazing job. And there was so many good things to eat, things I have never tasted in my life. But everybody was like, try. It was really awesome. Great job.
I'm glad you brought it up, Jax, because I did forget. An international night, honestly, is amazing. The things the students do, the staff of the foreign language, everyone is welcome too. And I feel they really need to get that out there. The whole entire community is welcome at international night. And it is a $3, $2, depends on, donation. But you got a whole dinner for $3. I mean, you walk around, my oldest daughter, went around, and you got a whole dinner for that, and dessert. You could have dessert, tea, dinner. I mean, you got everything. So, I mean, if next year, I really hope they advertise better, but the whole community, young kids would love it.
So I was going to talk about international nights because it's one of my favorite events at the school, and it's just so enriching to see all the kids and all the work that they put into it. A lot of the students make their own food for the country that they represent. I mean, my daughter had me make the food for her country, but that's another story. But the kids put a lot of work into it. They dress in the attire for the country, and they just are all into it. They'll even introduce themselves in the language of the country that they are representing. It's just a great job done by the Foreign Language Department, and I just wanted to give a shout out to them. Federal law, Ms. Napolitano Furno.
So I'm only bringing this up because there was so much misinformation given out. So people were all over social media sites and other platforms writing how excited they are that for some that are excited that there was federal law changed and that DEI was going to be removed. I think that it was very premature. While I personally would support that, I know that it is not being done like that in the state of New York. The state of New York is pushing back. So for those people who believed that when federal law changes, so does the education law, it doesn't work like that. There is some, I didn't know if I should have, I'm sorry I didn't give you a heads up on this one, but I had said something to Doug. It was more of for people to understand what's changed and how federal law isn't going to change a lot of things that people think it's going to change. It will affect down the road the title. It will affect some of those issues as time goes on, but the DEI right now is not being removed from the state of New York, at least. Correct?
So presidential executive orders do not have the full force and effect of law. It is different. So when Congress passes a law, that will generally have supremacy over any contradictory New York state law. However, when it comes to federal executive orders, that is not always the case. So my office, I know we've sent about 3 memos in the past 2 or 3 weeks regarding these topics. And if there's any further questions, I'm happy to address them individually.
Thank you.
Thank you. BOCES summer enrichment, Ms. DiLorenzo.
Yeah, just a question. I know we're not doing this anymore because, as I understood it, Ms. Poppy, it was under the COVID grant and it ended. But there are people I think that they loved that, they enjoyed that, they went to that. Do we have something are we doing something this summer? Yeah, if you can speak to that is comparable to that, or just even letting people know we're not doing this. We have this. What's happening with that? Because I think it was well attended from what I understood.
So I do thank you for bringing this up because I do believe that there's a little bit of confusion in the system. So over the last 3 summers, the district has run 2 programs concurrently. One is hosted by BOCES, okay, and it's called the BOCES Summer Enrichment Program. That's either a full or half-day experience, and ConnectWatt acts as a host for a BOCES program. We have, on average, about 100 students across the district who have participated in that program over the course of the last 3 years. Currently, we're speaking with BOCES regarding program costs. So if you were to participate in that program in the past and you were to head to the BOCES website to enroll your child for this summer, there's a disclaimer on the ConnectWatt site essentially that more information would be forthcoming. That's typically a 6-week program. Directly after that program, for the last 3 summers, we have held during the last 2 weeks in August a SCOPE summer enrichment program. So you have 2 5-letter organizations, and I think they're getting interchanged. Those SCOPE sessions were funded by COVID relief grants. You're correct. So they were at no cost to the public, and we conducted open enrollment around this time of year for the past 3 summers. We also hosted a Saturday enrichment program. My office has fielded a few questions about the continuation of those particular programs, and that was 100% funded by those relief grants. To a great extent, and those programs were not built into the budget to continue. They didn't pre-exist the COVID relief grants, and we didn't build them to continue post the conclusion of those monies.
Are you guys going to be, so does that include the SAT one? I know that we had this conversation, and Sachem, I know I keep sounding like a broken record. Sachem has a class, an elective class that students get to take in 10th or 11th grade to help them with the SATs, with writing their essay for college. It's more of like a college prep class. If we can't bring an elective in like that, is there some way we can do something over the summer? Like I was just speaking to East Quogue, one of the board members reached out, and I was speaking to her. And she was explaining to me that they do something very interesting. They have over the summer 2 classes, and one of them, and it's funded by, I guess, grant money or from their school district themselves, and they allow students. It actually helps them do their college essay, do their college applications, shows them how to do it. So if we can't have a class, can we have something where children can opt in? And then also that SAT prep class, I thought was an excellent way to use grant money, especially because our scores are not as high as at one point. They seem to be, they've gone over the years up and down. It hasn't been a straight up, that's for sure.
So yes, those monies included that SAT prep opportunity at the end of the summer. Those classes, while they weren't, I would say, as robustly attended as some of our elementary programming, did offer an opportunity to our students, to your point. We've done some rebranding internally of some of our existing elective coursework to include more of the example that you've referenced in the past and just referenced now, relative to essay writing, the application process. So we have done some reinvention for 25-26 of existing coursework. And so we were able to build those adjustments in. However, that is all predicated on room in a schedule and a student's willingness to, include that in their instructional program. So a summer program gives you something a little bit different, right? Or a summer type of opportunity gives you kind of a different avenue to pursue rather than enrolling in an elective.
Can you just make sure when before even I would say July, we let people know what those classes are. So if students want to enroll in them, they take advantage of that benefit.
Sure.
Because I know, having a senior myself, it is not easy navigating the college application process. It's not easy navigating the essays and all that, especially when you said if the student is in AP classes, they don't even get that opportunity unless they do it on their free time, on extra help time or something like that. I know some of the English classes already tried to incorporate helping with essays, but if students are in the AP classes, they're not incorporating that, I was told.
Sorry. Ms. Pepe, you were saying that the elective was not, was poorly attended?
The scope opportunity in August, that particular course, the SAT course, it wasn't as robustly attended as you would imagine, right?
You're not speaking to the elective.
I'm not talking about the elective
in the high school
course per se.
Okay.
Just to differentiate the two. Yes, I was talking about the scope program in the summer.
Probably just to re-summarize, the BOCES Summer Enrichment Program, the 6-week program, while that cost has increased, we do have it in our budget development currently. When do we think we'll be able to get to a point with BOCES? Because I know we're talking with them about cost where we can, I know technically it's them, but where BOCES can say, okay, it's running at Connecticut.
So I'm hopeful that prior to spring break, we'll reach a resolution. We're setting up some meetings, and I've requested some paperwork and some detail from the last 3 years relative to the costs of the district so that we can make some informed decisions.
I don't know if you have it in front of you, Ms. Poppy, but just to maybe quickly explain, since it's a BOCES program, how there ends up being a little bit of an expense to the district each year.
Right, just before you do that, I would like to tell anybody out there who has older kids, when with this BOCES program has been here for years, back in the day, the parents paid. And it wasn't a big fee, it was minimal. So if the school district can't afford it, I think you still would have a lot of attendance if it was a small amount of money and parents had to pay. These enrichment programs are amazing. It gives the kids something to do during the summer. It's not the full day of camp. It's fun. And like I said, I paid for it personally when my kids were younger. I do think even if we can't afford it as the district and it's not part of our budget, I do still think it will be attended and it should be out there.
Thanks for that, Mrs. Iannatelli. So it is contained within the budget. We are planning for it. Why are we planning for it?
Why are we taking that on as a budget item? Like, is that something, I don't know, and I don't want to speak for the people, but the summer enrichment program, again, we always paid for years, and then all of a sudden the district started paying. Is there other places we'd rather spend that money on than the summer enrichment that parents are probably willing to pay for?
So they are. And so the process goes this way. So we register with BOCES and we tell them that we'd like to host a program. There is an amount that is set in order to host that program. Parents do continue to pay tuition. It is tuition based, and I should have mentioned that before, I didn't. And there are full and half day options like I offered before.
We normally get that, it's almost like a newspaper book in the mail.
Correct.
We've gotten it every year.
And typically there'll be a pamphlet sent home or a flyer sent home with some registration information, as well as the costs to the household. Ultimately, the district does receive reimbursement because it occurs through BOCES, right? But that billing cycle takes almost a year to complete. And that's the challenge in terms of realizing the actual costs to the district, right? So our budgeted amount, we won't see kind of the end of the trail until we just received our final bill from last summer's program. It's March. That program concluded in August, right? And so it involves costs like, aside from tuition, like the trips that the students take, salaries for the people who work in the program, as well as costs for supplies and materials to run the enrichment program, swimming costs for local trips to either Byron Lake or Heckscher State Park, depending upon the year. So BOCES factors all of those costs in, and they give us a bottom line that we're responsible for. We have averaged somewhere, once all of the billing settles out, between $30,000 and $50,000 as far as costs to the district to run the program when all is said and done.
Personally, I think that's a lot.
And that's why we're looking at different options here in terms of possibly lowering the costs to the district. That's the conversation we're engaged in right now.
Thank you. There's one more. There's events by Ms. Napolitano-Forno.
So in the past 2 weeks, I've attended a few events, but also, so the ones we already spoke about, the OBMS, RMS, boys volleyball at the high school. Thank you to the coaches and the athletic director. They did a great job. It's always fun to watch both teams play against one another, especially at that age. It's fun to see, and I was happy I got to go and support them. Also, the Unified Bowling, like I said, it was great last week. If you can make it this week, they're having their senior day. Again, they'll be playing for the next few weeks, and it really is a great time if you can go and support the kids. A couple of different things that were great that I wanted to let the board know about was I attended a 2-day governmental accounting class. It was an all-day event. It was, like I told Ari, it was a little bit on the dry side for me, but it was a lot of information. I do have the books if anybody wants copies. It was a lot of information, but it was definitely a wealth of information. Also, there was a managing your cash flow and also a, what is the other one? There was 2 of them, managing your cash flow and writing to learn, improving student achievement and supporting district-wide goals. They are both taped. I don't know if you can, I don't know if we can pull it right from my email to give it to everybody, but it was a good hour. One was an hour, one was an hour and a half webinar. I think it would be great if everybody had the time, if you took the time and maybe watch some of it. It would absolutely help you with some of how we did our goals about a week or 2 ago. It would definitely help show where we could really look for district goals. Like I said, it's just a couple of good ones. I know a lot of you guys like to do those, so I figured those I would throw out there.
Thank you. Anybody else? Okay, I will now open the floor for the open public comment portion of the agenda. I will call individuals forward one at a time. Please wait for my acknowledgement before stepping up to the podium. You should have received a number card from security on your way in. If you have not, please see a security guard in the back of the room. Any person wishing to address the board shall address the board president. Comments should be kept as brief as possible and relate to school matters only. Each person will be limited to 3 minutes for one or more topics. Individual employees, parents, or children should not be identified by name, title, position, grade, or building. The use of foul language and threatening comments will not be tolerated, and the board will consider a recess until order is restored. In accordance with policy 1230, public comment will not exceed 30 minutes. If there are additional persons wishing to speak, the board may consider a recess to extend the time. Number 1.
Oh, there we go. Sorry, new ones. Okay. Sorry, I'm gonna try and get through as quick as possible. Two quick questions. Is there a possible the big budget like that you guys are gonna print out? Is there a way that we get it to save time? Like, could if I leave my email, could they email it to me? I'll print it out myself, or are we not allowed to do that? Like that big budget we have, we can go line by line, or no?
It's on the website.
That whole thing with the line. Okay, thank you. I don't need that then. Quick question about the consent agenda. I don't know if you're allowed to talk about it. It says stipulation of settlement and general release. Are you allowed to discuss what that is? Okay. Let's see. April, I do remember the scope books we used to get with the little yellow books that used to come in. It was like it was 2-week program, I believe, right? For years, right? Okay, so that was a thing. Loved International Night. It was amazing. I also wanted to point out, or bring up rather, I saw like online that OVMS did this cool thing where they did like the inflatable race. They had like the staff. That was so cool. I just love that, and I hope that the kids enjoyed it as much as I thought it was very fun. Let's see. You mentioned talking about like college preparation courses and stuff like that. So on January 28th meeting, I did ask about us having a club because not every kid could fit another elective in their schedule. So it would be like a what's next club. So it could be for kids who are preparing for college, kids who are preparing for trade, kids who are preparing for the workforce. If we had a club, anybody who wanted to join it, they could. If they can only come once or twice, it doesn't matter. As long, and we need to get knowledgeable advisors to come in there, and it might be like a great opportunity for a lot of students, I think. I would also love to see all of these years I've noticed we've had different clubs and stuff at the elementary level, which is awesome. But I don't really feel like there's not enough inclusion in our special education students for those clubs, like specifically. So maybe there's something that we could also start bringing, like trickling down, like we have the beautiful unified program at the high school. Maybe there's something we could keep trickling down where we could be more inclusive of all of our students like that. The other thing, the backpack checks, I have no issue with it, but I am concerned about the efficiency and the time because the last time I did it, it took them forever to get into the building. So, I mean, I'm good, but like we still have to figure that out. So hopefully that goes quick. And then also the Developmental Disability Committee, like what is the goal of that committee specifically?
The fair. It's
Hold on. Can you just pause her time for 1 second? Go ahead.
It's a fundraiser, more or less, a committee that comes together to highlight the month of March for bringing disability awareness, and to have this event that they have to raise money that is actually given to our SEPTA organization for scholarships and different things for the kids.
All right, love it. Thank you. The other question I have is about the budget. It says, so we have a $551,000 gap. Will that gap continue to widen even if we get to close it this year? Is that going to continue to widen every single year as we inflation goes up? Regardless, doesn't matter because that's just how life is. And do we have any sort of plan for how we're going to, like any suggestions on what we're going to do to close that gap? I know you said we're looking into it, but like what are we looking into? Like, are we cutting stuff? Are we laying people off? I mean, I know we have retirement. I know that you said you were looking into that, but we have an idea because you do have to put your retirement in earlier. So, if they were retiring at the end of this year. So that's a question I have. Like, what are we looking at to close that gap? Like, what's this plan here?
So you know those thousands of codes, that's what we're basically going through. As we continue to advocate, and this ties into one of your questions. Right. We're hoping that the state is not done with their numbers. They still have a little time. In terms of the state aid. So right now, we have that 550 thousand gap to close. It's early March, and we're still working at it. And we're hopeful that we're going to get a little bit more. Mm-hmm. We're not counting on a windfall. Right. A little bit more of the state aid, and we're at the point that we are going line by line. to see, how tight can we go. We're not looking to close programs. Certainly, we just talked about summer enrichment, even though that's through BOCES. We are definitely looking to take advantage of retirements. We do have a little bit of a decline in enrollment. We saw when we looked at the elementary sections, the decline in sections. We're looking to maximize efficiencies in how we do things, such as our academic coaching and interventions. So this is the work that's being done. In terms of accessing positions. That's not something that's on the table right now, unless all of a sudden we get a surprise from Albany where you're not getting a 2% increase, you're getting a 10% decrease. We're not hearing any of that, those extreme conversations. But we absolutely want to take advantage of attrition. Again, attrition is primarily your retirements. Could be somebody resigning for whatever reason, and so that's and that's the piece. In terms of the future and the long-term planning, one of the things that's the conversations that's happening in Albany, we're saying it and we're saying it to our local representatives. We need to have reliable numbers that come out of Albany.
Absolutely.
We talk about taxes and the burden on the taxpayer. We shouldn't have these ebbs and flows where one year as taxpayers you feel like you got raked over the coals by all your taxes, and then the next year comes back down, and that's not a great system, but that is a component of that revenue. But in states where they've implemented a tax cap, which is definitely good for the taxpayer, those states that have had success have had a sustainable, reliable in terms of planning, both for the current and the long term state aid. And we just keep having this happening with
It's
this,
absurd.
with
That's
state
why
aid.
I'm saying, like, if we already have this gap, and I know that we're going to do our best to plan well, if that continues to widen every single year and we are continually trying to close another gap, I know we can't predict state aid, but we can kind of have an idea of what we are looking at as far as our schools and what our general budget is and what we could do to, continue to have quality.
Thank you. Yep.
I just wanted to touch base with you, Jenny, that we do have, just in case you didn't know, about 4 years ago, I had sat down with Mr. Mallory and Mrs. O'Hara, and they did right away, immediately institute a unified, because I had requested unified for middle school and the elementary. And what they did immediately, because I remember him sending me pictures from there, was at the middle school, they made a club, and a club where it's a sports club where they do the same kind of thing as unified. It's just not called unified because it goes through section 11 unified. And we are doing the same thing they were trying to institute the same thing with the elementary. So we do have clubs that are I think they're calling it like buddy clubs and things like that. I'll find out the exact name for you. Absolutely. Absolutely. Absolutely.
Number 2.
Is there any way that the attorneys can tell us the process that this teacher is actually going through? So then we would have a better understanding and we wouldn't be jumping down your throats about this.
Do you have any other questions?
No.
We will get back to the community hopefully by the next board meeting.
Okay. All right.
Go ahead.
Well, I wouldn't be able to answer any specific questions about a specific disciplinary process. However, to the extent I am provided with an authorization, I'm happy to have any in-depth conversations anyone that wants.
So I can have the superintendent reiterate the process that he described at the last board meeting.
And I'm also going to reiterate how whenever you have a personnel situation, and I appreciate the frustration, I appreciate the advocacy, we're all bound in terms of elected board members and administration to honor the confidentiality of a personnel process. And so I appreciate the frustration, and I don't want you to think that anybody is purposely trying not to communicate, but we have to honor that. So in generic terms, I did say this at a couple meetings ago, when there is a concern that is brought to the district, it is immediately vetted. Some concerns, the concerns can be at varying levels, all right? So, some concerns can be quickly looked at, others might require something more formal, to be an investigation, all right? And so that could be a timely process. It could be something very, and timeliness is in the beholder, right? The eyes of the beholder, okay? The key is to be very thorough, all right? And the key is to have close communication with the direct people involved. Now, the direct people involved is usually somebody who brings the concern and somebody who's involved on the other end of the concern. And that has been happening. Now, could there be components on the peripheral, like the audience today? And we understand that, but again, it gets back to the confidentiality of a personnel situation that we have to.
Please, no screaming, no yelling. We'll have to stop the meeting.
So when it gets looked at, the concern, all right, determinations are made. Is there something here, and to what degree? And if something is determined that there could be anything there, to whatever degree, then the next part is to decide, well, what is the appropriate course of action, all right? And that is essentially the process. Now, I know that's a very generic explanation, and you follow, all the proper guidelines in terms of contractual guidelines and collective bargaining agreements. You follow labor law guidelines. You follow policy, okay? And you look to do it as efficient, as certainly fair, and as thorough as possible. And again, I understand the frustration, but we have to, like the board president said, we have to honor the process and the confidentiality of a personnel situation.
Thank you. Number 3.
Am I supposed to press a button or something?
It's pressed. The light's on.
Okay, so I have to tell you, I didn't come here prepared to say anything. I wasn't going to say anything. I came here to support my colleague and friend. She's an amazing teacher. She has the biggest heart. She loves her students, and her students love her. And she knows her stuff. And I just feel like from day one, this whole thing was handled just poorly. I hope you can fix it. That's not what has my blood boiling right now, though. So my friend Jen will speak more to what we want to say about that. But as I'm sitting in the audience, I was blindsided by something, Jackie, that you said. You said you were so happy that you decided to keep Elon Musk as someone to represent Disability Awareness Month. And I am like, I can't even explain how I feel right now. So I have a little brother with Down syndrome. I have a 30-year-old son with autism. When I saw that name, Elon Musk, on the list, I said, wow, this must be a little bit of an like, this can't be right. And I wasn't alone in my thinking. And we expressed our concerns to the union. And the union said they were going to express their concerns to you. And I think they did, because you said we decided to keep him. Some people didn't want him, but we decided to keep him. And I'm just trying to figure out how you made that decision. And I also want to maybe enlighten you on a few things about Elon Musk, okay? So Elon Musk, and I like I said, I was not prepared to get up here and speak, but I am going to quote to you a study that was released on January 10th. So Elon Musk has dramatically increased content on social media containing the slur retard after using the term in a post. That was one post. Since then, he's used it 16 times. He's called Ben Stiller a retard for supporting Kamala Harris. He's called several people, I should stop saying it, the R word, okay? In this study, there is a 207%.
Just press the button again. On the right.
207% increase in posts containing the R word after Musk's post using the slur on January 6th. 300,000 posts using the term R word identified in the period studied. Google Trends analysis showed a similar increase in online search activity related to the R word. Indication.
I just need you to press the button and wrap up your statements. Thank you.
Indication of a broader increase in stigmatizing language online with limited structures to curtail such content. The power of influential voices in the online space has never been greater, and it is unfortunate that too many of those voices don't consider the implications of their language. There was something else I wanted to say, but I can't find it now. But I think it's our responsibility to be aware of this.
And I believe it's our responsibility to, as adults and as professionals, do our professional duty and our job to, when a committee comes up with several people who I could absolutely find pros and cons of every single one, as the committee, as a team, decided. And the reason I brought it to light is because I do believe in transparency. And I also believe that we should not, why have a committee if we're not going to listen to the committee? I'm one voice in a committee, and I do support leaving all several. I will say this. I wasn't a fan of some of, for instance, Billie Eilish. I know that person has some other, when you look up people, you find pros and cons of everyone. Where do we draw the line? Where do we say every single one is subject to
at someone
opinion?
using the term
Everybody is,
retard.
everything is up for perspective, and like I said, I firmly believe we should all be professionals. We do our job. We highlight these people that educators in this district agreed with in the committee, and I appreciate their valuable experience and their input, and I support them fully in what the committee came up with.
Okay.
Thank you, and thank you for sharing your concerns with us.
Okay.
I appreciate it.
I just want to say one more thing. Just because you can make $1 billion does not make you a good person or a good role model.
I think we should keep things apolitical, because a year ago, I don't think anyone would have cared if he was being highlighted.
Can I have number?
Coming a little off political.
Very quick, Marisol, I just want to,
the term retard my entire life with my little brother defending
but I'd like
him.
to say something.
I just want to say that we, in this instance, this is the first I'm hearing about it. We meant the committee, not the board, for the record. So this is the first I am hearing about it. I agree that anybody who uses that word should politics aside, that's got nothing to do with politics, should not be represented in a disability awareness campaign.
I think,
Jackie, I'm next.
I think that
Jackie,
we should
please,
also look
please.
at all the people,
Give anybody a
and there are pros and cons of
Honestly.
all. And I fully support
100%
Elon Musk being somebody to highlight for a disability when it has nothing to do with politics,
Just so you
or
know,
it should be apolitical
on here
for a disability committee.
I
that
100%
students
agree.
Thank you,
support.
thank you.
I'd love to go through all of them.
Okay, I'm just gonna have Ms. Inatelli say her remark, and then we're gonna get back to the public comment.
Right. I am on the committee, and what I will say is that I was not for or against, but what I thought was a great solution, and I really hope next year we do choose this, is since there's 5 people who are highlighted, we do 10, and the school, at their discretion, can pick the 5 that they want to highlight. So I do think there should have been options and choices, due to the fact that in my household, the R word was the F word, and never allowed to be said. So on that, and it's not political what you brought up, I do agree, because that word, if anybody even says it to this day, my mother has it so ingrained in me, you just don't say that word.
But April, how many people in the committee agreed, though? How many people?
Everybody.
It was unanimous.
I'm only saying my opinion.
I would say 90% of them are educators. And I appreciate their experience and their input, 100%.
Number 4. Please no screaming from the audience. Thank you. Number 4.
Hi, I am a 27-year veteran teacher of this district. The majority of those years and across various grade levels, I have been teaching side by side with the teacher that was removed from her classroom. What's happening in this district is a travesty. We have heard tonight about the effects that this situation has had on her students. I know the devastation that it's causing to her and her family. That is the majority of the picture, but there's more to this. It is affecting all of us. It is in fact affecting the entire building. We as teachers are scared. Speaking in very general terms about what the procedure is, that's pretty terrifying for us because we can all be in the situation where we get accused of something. And I am personnel. I work here. I should know what that process is. I don't even know if she knows what the process is. And whatever process it is, 4 months is not acceptable. Those children are suffering. She is suffering. This is affecting everyone in the building. It is affecting our jobs. We are walking on eggshells. We are flinching when children throw their arms around us because they want comfort or because they want to share in a celebration. Literally, teachers are like this when kids hug them. That's not okay in an elementary school. These children depend on us. They are with us more time than they're with their parents for some of them. They need to be comforted by us. They need to.
I really am going to ask you to refrain.
Anything.
I understand, but you're teeing on a very.
You can't read my mind. So when I do say something,
I'm hearing your words, and that's what I'm questioning you on.
I'm speaking to my experience.
I understand.
And my fears as a teacher.
I understand, and perhaps we could have Mr. Kohler-Heifer or the building principal reach out to you tomorrow.
No, that's okay. I'll finish my point. We are all in the business of educating children. That's the whole point. We show up every day. This is affecting their education. It is affecting their emotional well-being. It is affecting our emotional well-being. Like I said, we are walking on eggshells. The situation is directly affecting our daily duties as teachers. Classes have been affected by this in a variety of ways. And I cannot imagine what my colleague is feeling as she waits to find out the fate of her career. We teach our children every day that everyone deserves to be treated with respect and dignity. I guess that's just for the students, because I don't think anyone can say that this teacher, my friend for over 20 years, has been treated with any respect or dignity. Never. It's disgraceful.
Thank you. Number 5.
Wow. Good evening. Sorry, hold on. All right. Good evening. My name is Nicholas Carlson. I want to thank everyone for coming out and showing their support. It means a lot to me and, of course, another individual. I usually try to stay away from any public speaking in any form. This is not me, but this is extremely important because this is just ridiculous. It's absolutely absurd what has been going on. The way this situation has been handled is extremely unprofessional. It's just not acceptable at all. I mean, this is completely ridiculous. The fact that a unanimous decision was made by each and every single one of you to have this teacher removed based on...
I'm sorry.
I didn't say anything.
I know you didn't say anything, but that is actually not at all
There was no
true.
unanimous decision.
There was not, no.
Well, this is what I was told. I'll continue. So for 4 months, this has been going on. And I watched the first board meeting when I was up at Oneonta. Unfortunately, I wasn't here. And I watched as the guilt melted off of each and every one of these faces as parents, teachers, students came up and said, "Where's my teacher? Why has she been removed? When is she going to be back?" But yet here we are 4 or 5 months later and nothing has changed at all. What is going on? Why is this still ongoing? I understand there's legal battles behind the scenes, but none of this, you're not informing anyone of anything. No. The amount of support that has been shown, it's beyond amazing. I have to thank everyone here because I've never seen such a display of just affection and care for such a teacher. She's impacted so many students' lives. This is absurd that she's not in the classroom, and she's still not. 4 or 5 months, she's nothing. No update, nothing, absolutely nothing at all. It's absurd. This process, these decisions, it's just embarrassing, and it really does show the incompetence of the board. I'm sorry, but this is ridiculous. District as well. This individual needs to be brought back in the classroom immediately. This should have been 4 months ago. Ridiculous. Just unfound claims. Anybody could go up and say whatever they want, and have a teacher removed over claims just brought up out of nowhere. Spur 3 people who she doesn't even know. It's ridiculous.
Thank you.
Thank you.
Thank you. Number 6. 6.
Good evening, everyone. I was here, I'm not sure if it was the last meeting or the meeting before, of which I spoke to everybody about my grandson and came to tears. And it didn't seem to faze anyone. He wanted to come tonight to speak for Mrs. Carlson.
I'm sorry.
To speak for the teacher. And not that everybody doesn't know, but anyway, sorry about that. And he wouldn't come because he was afraid. He was afraid because he feels like if something wasn't done by now, and he's 11, then they're not going to listen to him as a child. I don't understand what takes 6 people. And let me just ask a question. As far as legal goes, are our taxes paying for legal? Sure. So at this point, why isn't he allowed to answer our questions? I don't understand. Our taxes are being paid, they're being paid, but he can't answer us.
So he's the attorney for the board.
But we're paying for him.
Correct.
Okay, so then he should be allowed to speak to us. If I'm paying for an attorney to help me with a situation with something that's going on, I should be allowed to speak to him, and they should be allowed to speak to me. Okay, so as far as I'm hoping that for the family, for the children, we have a lot of good teachers here. We have wonderful teachers here, way beyond just one. But I'm hoping that this can all just come to an end for everyone. You guys must be tired of this at this point, trying to figure out how to handle this. So I'm just hoping at this point for that young man that just came up here, my heart's broken that he has to come up here and speak to you like that over and over again. There's no reason for it. A simple yes, she can come back, do her thing like she always did, and there'd be no reason for this. I don't understand. I mean, like everybody's saying, in 4 months, what has been done?
Thank you for your time.
So,
number 7.
Okay. I've sent the board a few emails over the past few months in support of our teacher, including an email on January 28th with over 70 additional signatures of support from the community. I also sent a comment to the board, Dr. Centimore, and our principal yesterday in hopes that progress could be made. I won't read my full statement. I will just highlight that my support for this teacher has not changed. She taught my older daughter and now my younger. We love her. She belongs in the classroom. I do think an internal review of this 5-month investigation is strongly needed. We should not be here. This should have been resolved in November. Lastly, I mentioned that our children were struggling emotionally and educationally. I had proposed a solution that was previously shot down. I'm happy to say that I received a call from the principal a few hours ago, and that suggestion will be implemented starting Monday. This does not erase the damage of the past few months, and it does not solve all of our problems, but is a step in the right direction, and it's appreciated. I look forward to hearing and seeing additional solutions from the board and district for our students, parents, and teachers. We are all counting on you. Thank you.
Thank you. Number 8.
Good evening, everyone. I just had a quick question about the process for teachers, substitute teachers, and teachers when they are coming, like if you have a student teacher coming in. So if you have student teachers, what is the process? What does the process look like?
Can you be more specific in your question?
So specifically, if a student from the district is doing education and they're now looking to do observation here in the school district, right? So their school district, what does the process look for them to get into the school district to do their observations to meet their requirements in education? So that's my question. And then I will have a follow-up question.
Sorry, finish your thought process and then we'll get back to you.
Right. So what is the process for the student?
Right. And then you had a follow-up, you said?
Oh, that's a separate topic.
Go ahead.
Oh, the separate topic is, so it's quite clear about what is happening now about the process with this investigation that's ongoing. And I think what really needs to come out of it, and I think somebody said it before, is that there needs to be a review process. How long things need to take, target dates, when those things are hit, and are they met, and do you continue to the next point? So because there really needs to be a timeline. I don't think it's fair that, the district, the families, the students, we don't have timelines. I know where I work, we have certain timelines that we have to hit when we do investigations. We know that. There's certain guidelines that you have to do, and I don't think, maybe they're not in place, and maybe that's a review process that really needs to happen, and maybe you do a SWOT analysis about that and how you do that. But I think it would be fair so everybody understands, this is the timeline for this period, this is the timeline for this period, this is the timeline for this period. So that's just suggestion.
Thank you. Can someone answer the student observation?
Sure. So if there is a student teaching or student observation candidate who would like to log hours in the district, they can reach out to our district mentor and I can provide you with that person's information.
Okay, thank you. I think we have, and so some of the feedback was that the teachers were busy and they really couldn't accommodate, and so those student teachers or observations had to go to another district, and that saddens me as a taxpayer and as somebody in the district. So I would hope that our students get precedent over other students.
Thank you for that feedback.
Thank you.
Thank you. Number 9.
Hi, I was not planning on speaking, but I feel like I come from a unique perspective. Today, for the first time in my entire life, I observed a classroom. My mom is also a teacher. She has been a teacher for around 30 years. She is the greatest person I know. I have seen and experienced the love and care that these students show for their teachers. And I get both sides. I get the audience. I get you guys. It's hell to go through that. 4 to 5 months, I think, is ridiculous. And I also have another question. How many of you guys on the board are or have been educators? Librarian?
I'm a librarian.
Okay. Anybody else?
No, that's it.
No? Okay. I'm taking education classes. I get it. But today I really saw the power that teachers really have over their students. And all I can say is do better. That's all I have to say.
Thank you. Number 10. Okay, can I have a motion and a second to adjourn the meeting?
Motion.
Second.
All in favor?
Aye.
Aye. Have a good night, everybody.